welcome to Kitchen Basics 101, where I teach you the bare bone basics as if you've never cooked a day in your life from the perspective of a mom. I'm gonna make biscuits and gravy today, which I think we've done once before, but it's definitely been over a year. And I'm gonna these are just like regular biscuits, grands, but you can make your own homemade biscuits if you like. I'm gonna throw these in the oven and then we'll get started on the gravy, because that's about how long it takes. Now I'm putting this gravy on biscuits, but you could not put my hair up, is that better? You could put this sausage gravy on whatever you want. You could put it on chicken fried steak, chicken fried chicken, chicken tenders, toast, whatever makes you happy. I really like this sausage that I get from Sprouts because it's all natural, but you can use any kind of cased sausage that you want. So this sausage is not in like individual links. It's not in any kind of casing. This is just loose sausage in here. Okay, so we're gonna cut this open and get this in the pan and start browning it up. What I do to open the sausage is I just cut the end off with my kitchen scissors, which I keep specifically for the kitchen. And then I just squeeze the sausage out into the pan. That's how I get it out of this. But I'm sure other people maybe slice it down the end. This is just how I do it. I'm not trying to be too aggressive with it, so I just have my heat on medium heat. And I'm just gonna break the sausage up as it cooks, okay, into smaller little pieces. And we're just gonna keep working it until we get it browned up. I'll show you the process as we go. This sausage is well seasoned. It's a little bit spicy, but I'm still gonna put just a little bit of salt and pepper on the meat while it's cooking. And I'm gonna repeat this process on the gravy once we taste the gravy and see where we're at. So we're just gonna put a little bit of salt and pepper, getting close to this being browned up. And as you can see in the pan, it's released some fat. And that's exactly what we want, because that's what we're gonna use to make the roux, and that's gonna help thicken our gravy. Now that our meat is cooked like almost completely, I'd say 80%, now we're gonna make the base of the roux. I'm gonna put 2 tablespoons-ish of flour, and we're gonna toss that around to coat all of our meat. And this is how we're going to create a roux, okay? So what's happening now is the flour is absorbing all the fat that came off of the sausage, and that's gonna help thicken our gravy and make it so delicious. Before we add our liquid, which is going to create our gravy, we need to make sure we cook this raw flavor out of the flour. So we're gonna just, let this cook for a minute, maybe 2 minutes. Just toss it around, make sure all of the flour gets absorbed into, and you can see already that the flour has basically disappeared. And that's because it's absorbed all the fat that's in the pan. Yes, you can use an alternative milk. I'm going to be using this ultra pasteurized whole milk, but you can absolutely use a milk alternative here. And I think it doesn't matter because a roux just needs liquid. It doesn't have to be milk, but we're making a traditional white gravy, so we're gonna use milk. So what I do is I add the milk a little at a time, because you're gonna see it magically like thicken before your eyes as it almost comes to a boil. So I add a little, I stir, I add a little, I stir until we get the consistency of gravy that I want. Obviously right now it's like basically all meat and no gravy. So we're gonna keep adding more milk. So it's just a process. I've never found a perfect amount of milk. I think it just varies every single time I make it. But I just keep adding it until you get the desired consistency. And if it's too thick, you add more. And if it's too thin, well, then you've gone too far. So that's why I add a little at a time, because if you go too thin, it's very hard to go backwards. You can't add the flour again and go backwards. So what you want to do is just add the milk a little at a time, stir it, let it get hot, let it thicken. Look at this. See how thick that already is? And then add a little more and add a little more. So we just keep adding more and more milk and keep building that gravy. And you'll also see it'll start to turn a deeper, more beautiful color once all the flavorings start coming out here from the sausage. And then, of course, we're going to have to give it a taste to know if we need to season it, more salt, more pepper. Okay? I just want to show you how loose this is. And look, when I drag my spoon through, you can't see the pan, right? Because the water, the milk and the gravy just pools into it. I'm gonna show you as it thickens, you'll be able to pull your spoon through and you'll be able to see a line, okay? We want something in the middle of that. Like if I can pull my spoon through and there's like a big line, that might be just a smidge too thick, but this right now, too thin, okay? So But however you like your gravy. If you like your gravy really thin, this is the beauty of making it at home. It can be really thin. And if you like it really thick, it can be really thick and meaty. So this is why you make it at home, and it's so easy. I mean, all the ingredients you should, except for the sausage, you should basically already have, right? Milk and flour and salt and pepper. So that's the beauty of gravy. All you got to do is buy a pack of sausage and gravy. Never going to reach its thickness potential if it's cold. So you have to bring it up to temperature to see how thick it really is, okay? And look, you can already start to see the difference where you're almost getting a line, but we're not quite there yet. Just want to show you the process as we go so that when you're doing it yourself, you know, like, am I on the right track? Am I headed in the right direction here? Reach thickness, I want to show you the difference. Do you see that? Do you see? To me, this is a perfect gravy thickness. All right. Now, this is still pretty meaty. You could make a lot more gravy if you add more milk, and I might add a little bit of milk here. But do you see how it's holding that pathway on the pan? Now that is nice and thick, right? And delicious. And it's going to thicken up just a smidge as it cools or as you get it prepared, get it on the plate. I'm going to do one more round of a little bit more milk just because I think that this is really meaty with not too much sauce. So I'm going to put just a little bit more milk and heat it up one more time. But this would also be perfect. You could stop here. But we have to taste to make sure it's seasoned before we can do anything. Taste, I think it needs a little salt. And I'm going to show you something optional. You do not have to put in yours. But this gravy is a little bit spicy. And so for my biscuits and gravy, I like a little maple syrup added. So I'm going to put maybe like 2 tablespoons of maple syrup into the mix here. And it just gives you like this delicious, like sweet, spicy, rich. But that is totally optional. And if you were doing like, you know, chicken fried steak or something. I mean, I still think it's great because I love that juxtaposition of sweet and spicy. But like I said, that's totally optional. Your gravy was finished and you didn't have to add the maple syrup. I'm sorry, I'm like wiggling you around when I stir. Let me try to hold you still while I stir. But I personally just love that sweet, salty, spicy. I think that combination is amazing. So let's give it a taste. Oh my God. Incredible. Okay, I'm gonna go get my biscuits and let's make some biscuits and gravy. I'm gonna open up my biscuits and like lay them open face. I mean, look at this. I put a beautiful like over medium egg over top so that we can get, you know, a little bit more protein, a little bit of runny yolk in our bite. So good. I imagine protein wise too, if you use like Fairlife milk here, with the sausage, with the eggs, even maybe a high protein English muffin, you could really get this protein crazy high if you're looking to increase your protein. There's nothing better. I love a savory breakfast. And to me, this is like the peak. So easy to make at home, 30 minutes. And it's on the table. 10 out of 10 recommend. 200 out of 10 recommend. 1,000.